line it up properly, not to do it unless it's bolted on. This is why we put this hood brace on here. What you want to do is get your panel lined up. If you notice, the hood is moving when I do this. You take your pencil and scribe a line on the bottom of that bar. Make sure you don't go too far in. It's right up next to that fiberglass hood. Tell me where my hood support bar is going to go. I take all the tape off, like so. I'm still not worried about this side. That side will be fine. As long as it lines up back here, we're okay. I don't care about the front. I go ahead and slide my hood out. Flip it over. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this over. And if you look really close, you're going to see the line that I drew right here. I don't know if you can see that, but there it is. Okay? Now, I didn't want to really go all the way into the end here because this here is pretty much basically the same color as that pencil lead. So if I would have went all the way to the end, I would have been looking too hard for it because I see a line right here and there's another line right here. So going that far, I know that that's the line. Get that off, and I'm going to show you how to mount this bar onto the hood, and we'll go from there. Okay, I've taken the bar off the hinges, which is your hinge side bar. That line toward the hinges is where you want to line the hood up. And I also realized that putting this on here, if you notice the hole, it's a big hole. So even though you got it lined up there, we don't know exactly where it's supposed to be inside that hole. So what I did is I bolted this back on the car. I slid the hood back in there. And while it was in line, proper position, I went ahead and I made a mark to stop that bar at. So I know that these hinges will be properly lined up for our gaps and the front end alignment of our hood. Now, to make it easier to see the line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some tape and I'm going to go ahead and run a nice piece of tape. If you ever want a straight line, tape is always the best thing to use. So I'm going to tape that line so I know precisely that's where it's going to go. That way we're not going to be off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some vice grips, I'm going to line up the line where it's supposed to be, right on the tape line. And I'm going to clamp it down. Can you hold that in, Jeff, while you're... There you go. So we clamp it down nice and tight. Then I'm going to take my vice grips and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to line my line up where it goes. You want to be very precise on this. This is your crucial point of how your front end parts fit. And make sure that the vice grips are tight. When you tighten down your vice grips, you're going to notice that the bar might move in and out. That's because of the unevenness of the fiberglass on the inside of the hood. So, we got it clamped down. Get this one as far as you can over toward the edge there, because we're going to have to put a screw in there. And that's what I'm going to show you next. So make sure that that's clamped down nice and snug, and it's not going to move. Okay. I got it where it's supposed to be. I got the front end of the bar lined up at the front end point of the hood. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my drill with my 7/32 drill bit, and I'm going to go ahead and drill 3 holes. I'm going to put one up in the front, probably in the middle of this section here. I'm going to put one in the very center, and I'm going to put one in the back. What that's going to do is hold this on here. And we're going to do the same procedure on this as we did over here on the side panels. We're going to go drill tap, and we're going to bevel out the hole so the screws will fit flush mount. So let me go ahead and start doing that. Always wear your safety glasses, and it's a good idea to wear your gloves because fiberglass, working with fiberglass is basically like working with steel or wood. There will be splinters, and you don't want to get a fiberglass splinter in your hand. So go ahead and drill your holes out. Try to get them in the center point of the... It's just a little minor tool that you can buy anywhere at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's basically made for wood, but it'll work fine on this fiberglass. They usually come in a kit of 4 or 5. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to tap out the holes to a 1/4 inch thread. And I want to lube this up so we don't break it. So instead of spraying on the fiberglass and having oil and grease penetrate to the fiberglass and ruin our paint job, I'm just going to come over here and just give it a little squirt. That's all you need. That way we don't have any problems with grease and oil and paint. So I go ahead and I'm going to tap all these holes out one at a time. Get your holes tapped out. I stress very strongly to use beveled flathead screws. Now, depending on what we use flat Phillips or flat blade screws. So we go ahead and screw that in. And I'll do that to all 3 of them, and then we'll install our hood, and we'll see what we have. Okay, we're ready to install the hood on our car. Jeff did a good job putting the side panels on, getting our hinges and everything on. But as I'm looking at it, I see that the hinge is recessed beneath the fiberglass. If that is like that, the hood will not go on because the hinge has to be raised up a slight measurement past the fiberglass. It has to be either flush up or a little higher. What I do is I take these small washers. I start out with 2 per screw, and I see where that's going to take me. Need be, I might have to put 3, but whatever it takes, you got to get that up just a slight little measurement above the fiberglass for the hood to bolt on right and not bind up. So let me get those screws on there, and we're going to see what happens. I've already got this one started, so let me go ahead and take that off. I get my 2 small washers. And by the way, these threads and this size of this screw is a 1032. This is a fine thread screw. So I set it down on there, and before I screw it in, I look at it, and if you come over here and you look real close, it looks like 2 washers are going to cut it because it's just a little bit above the fiberglass. So we're going to go ahead and get those on there. Just like this. Make sure your screws are lined up with your washers. That's very important that that bottom hinge is raised up here. Now, when I get all my hood cut out and ready to go, I'll test fit it on there and make sure that it slides in there good.